These movies reached across the Pacific for inspiration. Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 movies that ripped off anime.
You built all this? This is incredible.
We built for years.
Hey trivia fans! Watch Mojo is on the Q's live trivia app, where your pop culture knowledge can earn you real money. And it's hosted by me, the Watch Mojo lady. Winners in our first game took home $200 each. Get the app on iOS or Android to be notified when it's game time. You can find the download link in the description.
For this list, we're looking at the films that took elements, scenes, or plots from anime, whether directly or indirectly. Number 10, Chronicle.
Come on, Matt. Come on. Right.
Oh, shit!
Oh, man.
A found footage movie about a trio of teenagers who develop psychic powers, Chronicle owes much of its plot to the highly influential anime film Akira.
You little twat!
Both movies deal with teenagers with telekinetic powers rebelling against authority, with one of their groups spiraling out of control, culminating in a psychic battle in a major city between former friends.
I'm an apex predator.
Even some of the shots, like the psychic shockwaves, are similar. Both endings are pretty bleak, although Akira definitely goes bigger and weirder. Of course, director Josh Trank has admitted to being influenced by Akira, so at least he's upfront about it.
A lion does not feel guilty when it kills a gazelle, right? You do not feel guilty when you squash a fly. And I think that means something.
Number 9, AI Artificial Intelligence.
Is it a game?
Yes. Hide and seek.
This turn-of-the-millennium sci-fi film has quite the complicated history, given that it was originally envisioned by Stanley Kubrick and then completed by Steven Spielberg after Kubrick's death. However, it's also heavily based on the anime Astro Boy, especially that show's first episode.
Presenting Astro Boy!
Each story follows a young robot boy built to replace a dead son, who, after being rejected for not being real, joins a circus. You could call this a coincidence, given that both stories are probably derived from Pinocchio, but given that Kubrick approached Astro Boy creator Osamu Tezuka about working together in the 1960s, it's more than likely intentional.
Are you real? I guess.
Number 8, Atlantis: The Lost Empire.
Welcome to the city of Atlantis. Come, you must speak with my father now.
One of the lesser-known Disney movies, Atlantis: The Lost Empire follows a turn-of-the-20th-century expedition to find the titular lost city. The anime series Nadia: The Secret of Blue Water also deals with the trip to Atlantis aboard a submarine. But both stories were inspired by 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
I'm so sorry, Sean. Sorry for what I've done.
However, the similarities seem more than coincidental, as both series also feature crystal technology not seen in the original story, as well as suspiciously similar character designs and archetypes, and even shots and moments that look very much alike.
However, you cannot escape your fate. I shall see you again, Princess Nadia.
Number 7, Transcendence.
You hear me?
Transcendence is a film that explores artificial intelligence and the breakdown between the digital and real worlds, albeit in a rather dull and predictable way. These themes are explored much better in the anime series Serial Experiments Lain, which follows a girl who realizes she's actually a real-world avatar of an omnipotent and omnipresent computer intelligence. Besides Lane herself, the same concepts and ideas are seen in Transcendence, though not nearly as comprehensively or engagingly, especially given that Johnny Depp seems like he's sleepwalking through the whole thing.
But once they see what the technology can do, I think that they will embrace it, and I think it will change their lives.
Number 6, the Matrix franchise.
Now, Tank, now.
Anyone who's seen any anime at all can tell that the Matrix franchise owes a lot to Japanese animation. But let's dive into specifics.
Fine.
While several of the fight scenes are reminiscent of Dragon Ball, particularly in the climax of the third film, and the biggest, most direct influence on The Matrix is arguably Ghost in the Shell.
I don't believe it.
The Wachowskis have been very open about how much the film influenced their concept for the movie, borrowing heavily from its cyberpunk aesthetic, particularly people with plugs all over them, as well as the famous green computer text. Number 5. The Pacific Rim franchise. We know this is an obvious one. Although Pacific Rim also takes influence from the giant monster movie genre that give the franchise's creatures their name, kaiju, the series wouldn't exist without the hundreds and hundreds of anime about giant robots and mech suits.
She's one of a kind now.
She always was.
While there isn't a specific series or film that we can point to that Pacific Rim rips off directly, like some of our other entries, the influence of franchises like Gundam or Evangelion can definitely be felt throughout the films, and director Guillermo del Toro cites Gigantor as an influence. Number 4. Lucy.
Hey!
A young woman named Lucy with psychic powers suggested to be the next evolution of humanity goes on a hyper-violent rampage against soldiers and the people responsible for her new abilities. No, we're not talking about Lucy, the movie by Luc Besson. Rather, we're talking about Elfen Lied, an anime and manga series that predates the film by around a decade.
No!
Lucy even borrows thematic elements from Elfen Lied, with musings on what it means to be human and other existential concepts. Both received a somewhat mixed reception though, so maybe Besson should have improved more on the material he derived his work from. Number 3. Inception.
Are you here to steal from me, or do we are actually asleep?
Christopher Nolan's mind-bending dream heist movie has been hailed by many as a highly original and fantastic film. Except while the latter may be true, the former, not as much as you might think.
If you can steal an idea from someone's mind, why can't you plant one there instead?
Inception shares its concept of machines that allow people to enter dreams with the Satoshi Kon film Paprika.
You were the one in my dream.
Although the tone of both films is very different, as Paprika plays around with the concept more and is more surreal, Inception does take some shots from the 2006 movie, such as a female character shattering glass to enter a new part of the dream, which definitely helps make it feel less original than what we first saw. Number 2. Black Swan.
In 4 years, every time you dance, I see you obsessed getting each and every move perfectly right, but I never see you lose yourself.
Speaking of mind-bending movies based on anime by Satoshi Kon, Black Swan is another Western film to borrow from the Japanese director's filmography, specifically Perfect Blue.
Is that really the job that you wanted? It's a pin.
Black Swan follows a ballet dancer named Nina who becomes unable to distinguish between reality and delusions, while also dealing with traumatic feelings about sexuality. Perfect Blue follows an actress named Mima who becomes unable to distinguish between reality and delusions while also dealing with sexual trauma. The films both contain similar scenes and imagery as well, and given that Darren Aronofsky once purchased the rights to Perfect Blue, it's safe to say the Black Swan is heavily derived from Kon's work.
I danced the Black Swan for you.
Number 1. The Lion King.
The sun will set on my time here, and will rise with you as the new king.
And this'll all be mine?
Everything.
Everything the light touches.
Many have noticed the connections between Shakespeare's Hamlet and The Lion King, but the Disney musical also drew heavily from the anime series Kimba the White Lion by Osamu Tezuka.
What? Whoa.
Oh dear, I've said too much.
Besides the fact that the protagonists' names rhyme, The Lion King also took imagery like the iconic Pride Rock Cliff, thematic elements like the Circle of Life, and character archetypes, like hyena sidekicks, as well as many other aspects of the series.
You keep an eye on things.
It'll be a cinch with Kimba gone.
While Disney has vigorously denied ripping off the show and has often cited The Lion King as their first completely original movie, we're not buying it, even if we love the movie.
You must avenge my death, Kimba. I mean, Simba.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other great clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.